Question for Flint. One of the great things about the third season of the original show is that there seemed to be a palpable shift towards darker and more complex storylines to a lot of the episodes. My favorite episode of all time ends with Galvatron basically being lobotomized.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the show's not anywhere without a good lobotomy.
right on. And like some pretty heavy stuff. So I was just wondering what the origin of that shift was, and did you get any pushback from Hasbro or Sunbow going in that direction?
We probably felt, Galvatron had to be discontinued, so we just gave him a lobotomy. No, the origin of the shift was a lot of stuff. Partly the whole entire reason I was on Transformers. I was living a really happy life on G.I. Joe. Okay, I'd come in as a ghost story editor for Steve Gerber, and fake ghost because everybody knew I was, that I was there, and like Sunbow was paying me. But Steve may have been the best story editor ever in animation, but he was not the most punctual. And so I came in, I just had a disastrous experience at Lucasfilm, so I came in, and I remember just kind of lying on the floor in Steve's apartment with scripts, just editing, for days on end, catching them up, okay? And this gets to the answer to the question, but, and then, they said, hey, we named a character after you, so you have to take the job. And they hired me as an associate producer, character named Flint.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a, I don't know that was true, but that was Joe's pitch. Anyway, so then I was on G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe was blissful. Okay, other than a little fisticuffs in the in the recording studios and with Marvel, there were some fisticuffs in Marvel. By and large, the show was effortless. It wrote itself. I was just in this nice little womb, recovering from my body damage, and then Tom Griffin showed up and he said, we want to move you over. Okay, then they hired me. Now I'm an employee. And we want to move you over to Transformers because we want to give it some edge. And I'd never heard that term before. Now it became a cliche about 5 years later, but at that moment I'd never heard the term edge. I didn't ask what it meant, I kind of figured it out. But what they wanted to do, I think, is we were competing against a show called Gobots. And they were kind of neck and neck. Gobots is like,
Transformers late.
Shrunken in the rearview mirror of cultural history, but at the time it was indistinguishable from Transformers, and they wanted a much more adult show with much more edge. And so my experience on the show is I came in, like the first thing I remember working on was something like the Golden Lagoon, which is pretty early in season one.
Big environmentalist
right,
episode.
but I was probably showed up really late in the process. To remember the way the process works, it starts a script, then it goes to storyboard, then it goes to voice recording, then it goes to post-production, it goes to sweetening. So we were probably in post, so I didn't do much on Golden Lagoon. But then every episode after that, I got to do a little bit more. And this did not make anybody in Marvel happy. Quite frankly, my arrival on Transformers was for reasons that were my fault, just because, I have a horrible personality, but not, but were also just structural strategic issues between Marvel and Sunbow, because it was Sunbow basically controlling taking control of the show. Because the minute I show up and, effectively on any kind of an org chart, I'm really kind of above whatever the tactical people at Sunbow are, at Marvel are. Then all of a sudden I'm messing with Bryce and Dick, who were the story editors, who they're great guys and they did a really good job. And I had this vague instruction to give the show some edge. Okay, and Jay Bacall and I walked in, we were like creative Taliban. Not really because we were complete schlongs, but because, we were just sent on a mission. And that was very puzzling to them. And a lot of, actually I had to write, I'm writing a piece kind of about that whole period of my life, so there will be a complimentary book yours. But yours actually got done, mine's just something I intend to do. So Transformers was hard. And I kept giving it more edge, and I took that to me a little bit more adult, a little bit darker, and a little bit harder. Then the movie came along, and in our minds changed everything. Mm-hmm. But remember, that's only happening in the minds of Joe, Tom, Jay, me, and Roger Slifer. That's not happening in anybody else's mind because we're the only ones in those meetings. I think Doug Booth was there sometimes too. And So I keep making, you will see that really Transformers 3 seasons have 3 different seasons, and they're just different color palettes. The first season's pretty pastel. It gets a little bit, darker towards the end. My company, we just did Pokemon Go this week, so I'm thinking pastel. And then, the middle season was probably the most balanced season. And by the time of the movie and after the movie and all these characters are dead and we're introducing new characters and all that, the third season started out, you probably don't get, darker than Five Faces of Darkness. And, somewhere after that, we plotted out the season, we talked about where we were going, and then I went off to do Humanoids, real cheery thing. And then Visionaries after that. So, I was kind of absentee as much as I could be for the third season, because that's when Hasbro got mad that they suddenly discovered Optimus had been killed. And, I just didn't want to be around. That was pretty radioactive.
That's fascinating. Thanks.